And welcome to the Clouse and Q Show here on ONTV. Along with Quadell Edwards, I'm Jason Clouse. We certainly appreciate you tuning in here tonight. We are live from the ONTV studio in Lake Orion, Michigan. We certainly appreciate you taking time out of your weekend to give the show a watch. I can almost promise you that you will take something away from tonight's episode. And as you can probably tell, I'm a little bit fired up about this. Q, this was initially your idea, and we are going to talk about starting over in life. What is it? Because I know with you, when you pitch a topic, it comes from something. Like something has inspired this idea, something has motivated you for this idea. You bring it to the table, we bring it on the show. Where does this month's topic, register from?
Well, this topic was quite easy for a couple of reasons. For one, I believe that this topic pretty much relates to just about everybody in life that either has started over or needs to start over. And if you, any returning fans or watchers, seen the previous episode of the Clouse and Q Show, we kind of led into that direction a little bit at the end of that show. And believe it or not, one of the biggest inspirations is actually sitting right next to me when it comes to starting over, because it was something that was well needed. And being close to you, Jason, and just knowing where you came from and where you're going, starting over is very important. I believe that it's going to be a great listen, and I believe you guys are all going to take something out of what we're going to talk about tonight.
Right. So I did. I kind of stuck the stick in the hornet's nest and gave it a little bit of a twist on the last episode.
Yes, you did.
Of everything that we have done here thus far, that's the one thing I got the most feedback on, if you can believe that. But here's the thing, we have an hour's worth of airtime here. This is obviously one of those topics that we can spend, 2-3 hours on, because it's individualized. Everybody is going through something in their life at this point that they would like to be able to hit the reset button on, to kind of reboot. Things are not progressing the way that they would like. A lot of times, they don't want to go through the rigors and the hard work that it would take to start over, because there is that fear of the unknown. We have talked about it on previous episodes. I've talked about it multiple times on the podcast.
Yes.
So once we realize, look, we are at a point here in our life to where something's got to change, because number one, and this is the big one, we are no longer the best versions of ourselves. And it could be on a personal level, it could be on a professional level, it could be one of those situations where one bleeds into the other or vice versa, right?
Right. And to use a great analogy for this, I don't know if anybody, any of our older, maybe I say 90s people that used to play the Super Nintendo.
You're going old school now.
And that game used to freeze up on you. What do? You hit the reset button. You got to start the thing over, because once it freezes, there's no progression. You can't go no further. It's not moving. So that's pretty much how it is in life. You come into a freeze point and you're doing the same thing over and over, hoping that you get a different result, which is insanity.
Yeah, there it is.
And you're thinking you're going to get a different result, but it's not going to happen until you start something fresh. And I think we all need that fresh start. And anything that you're going through, it's not that you're just going through it, you're growing through it. So a lot of people just go through things and they don't know how to, get through it. But if you're not growing through it, then what's the point? So once you get to that fresh start, all that stuff that was in the past is over. And you grew through that, therefore you can be prepared for your fresh start. Some people can't start fresh without growing.
So here's my question about that, because you bring up a good point here. That analogy is as perfect of a one as I've ever heard when we're discussing this type of thing. you talk about a fresh start, okay? Like everybody comes to a point where they look in the mirror and they're like, I am not happy with something in my life.
Right, right.
Okay? I'm not happy with my job. I'm not happy with where I live. I'm not happy with the car I drive. I'm not happy with this, that, or the other thing. Sometimes it gets real personal, right?
Right, right.
You know, you look at your personal life or the situation or the relationship or whatever the case may be, and something is not firing on all cylinders.
Right,
So at that point, you're like, so what do you do? Do you roll the dice on yourself and kind of buck the system, as it were, or do you get to a point to where you just, you know, throw your hands up and say, to hell with it, this is my lot in life and this is the way things are and there's nothing that I can do to change? I call BS, because you've heard me say 1,000 times across any platform that I have been on, you have one life to live.
That's
one.
right. Yep.
You are on borrowed time while you are here. So why in the blue hell do you want to spend that time being miserable or being anything less than what you think or what you feel that you should be?
Exactly.
So I say all that to say this. When you decide that you want a fresh start, do you feel, Q, in your personal opinion, do you feel like you have to have some sort of destination, some sort of goal in order to work on this fresh start? Or can you just come, you wake up one day or something has happened, you're like, something has to change here.
Right.
I need to hit that reboot. I need to hit the reset. Can you make that fresh start and be successful at it without having a designated end game or goal, in your opinion?
I believe having a goal is actually needed. And you might, and I think about like education, you know, some people go to school and they go to school not knowing what they're gonna do in life. So they just go for general education. Mm-hmm. You can't keep going to college for general education for 4, 5, 6 years not knowing where you're going. So I think of it this way: don't be afraid to actually have something that you're targeting. Like you have to have like that vision to therefore it helps motivate you to get there. And I think about, you know, when you go to a store and you buy a puzzle, the first thing you see is the finished product on the front of the box. So when you buy that puzzle, you know exactly what you're building. Mm-hmm. So sometimes that vision is very important, seeing the end product and then working your way through it. And if you don't have that, if you don't have that, then that's where you need to really search deep down in yourself. You need to get that peace, because sometimes you got to get out of a situation that's not allowing you to have that peace. Therefore you can have that peace, therefore you can discover who you are. And then once you discover who you are, you got something to chase. You know, you got that dream to chase. You got something that you can build towards and start moving towards that end product. Because a lot of people get stagnant, you know, because they don't know where they're going. They might try this. Your whole life is just you trying things until something sticks. But if you have that vision, you have that end product, you know who you are, and you know what you're supposed to be doing and who you're supposed to be with, the people that's the important people that you know that you're supposed to have around you for encouragement, and eliminating all the toxic people, eliminating all the toxic environments. If you know that you can have that peace and know where you're going, it's a lot easier to know how to get there.
You're absolutely right. And like, I feel like a lot of, because like I've alluded to, everybody has something in their life that they would like to see altered, they would like to see changed, they would like to see something different, because whatever they're involved in now is just not necessarily blowing the wind in the sails, right?
Right.
Now, this is the other thing that comes into play along the lines of fear. You know, when you are embarking on a new journey.
Talk about it, man.
Yeah, I mean, there is that overwhelming fear of the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how people are going to respond. You're not going to know how you're going to be perceived. You're not going to know anything like that. So you will allow that to be the driving factor in who and what you are as an individual,
right,
where you're going to go in life. And like, I did that for the longest time. I did that professionally. I did that personally, because I've always wanted to be a people pleaser. I wanted to be one of the guys that, you know, if you called on me, I was there for you. And
right.
I would always put somebody else's wants, needs, or desires ahead of my own. Like, I've always done that. You know, it gets to a point in life to where you can only get screwed over so many times. I mean, by friends, by family, by colleagues, by, you know, people you don't even know, but for whatever reason they have some sort of hook in you in some way, shape, or form. We're so concerned about what everybody else thinks and what everybody else believes should be your goals, or whatever believe you should live your life like this. At what point do you stop and ask that individual, what do you want? Who do you want to be? Here's the big one. Here's the big one. Are you happy? Are you happy with this one life that you have right now? I mean, listen, you go on social media, you turn on the TV, you turn on the radio, you listen to a podcast, you listen to whatever you want to, whatever form of public entertainment. There is always going to be that possibility that there is just a barrage of negativity. It doesn't matter if it's a war overseas. It doesn't matter if it's the gas prices here at home. There's always something going on. There's always something that has ruffled the feathers of somebody else. And they put all their opinions or feelings and everything like that on social media. Fine. That's your avenue, that's your page, that's your profile. Deal with it with whatever you want. I get it. But at the same time, these are the same kind of people that they hate to see other people happy, because it's a stark contrast to the feelings that they have. And they, not everybody across the board, obviously, but you know people to where it's like, I want you happy, but only if I'm happy at the same time.
Right.
How dare you be happy when my life is seemingly falling apart, or things, you know, I'm not happy with one aspect, so if I'm not happy, you shouldn't be happy. And look, when that becomes an overriding thing in any kind of relationship, personal or professional, something's got to change here, right?
Oh yeah. You know what I call those people? They are emotional leeches.
Oh.
They just
write that down.
They just feed.
That's a T-shirt coming to the PFC Podcast Network on that store.
All they do is just feed off of. They want you to feed off of their emotions. They feed off of your emotions. So if you're miserable, they can be miserable with you. If they're miserable, they want you to be miserable with them. How dare you be happy if I'm miserable? That's how a lot of miserable people are. Misery loves company.
Yeah.
It loves company. I will not dare be miserable by myself. That's how a lot of people think. So all my friends, all my colleagues, I'm going to tell you everything that's going on in my life where you can be miserable with me.
Yep.
Therefore, we can all just be sad and angry, and you can be just like me. Don't get that happiness before I get it.
Right. Yeah, it's got to be a shared thing. Right?
Yeah, it's got to be. We share the emotions.
Right.
So you see a lot of that it's so much of that on social media. A lot of misery on social media. When I read people comments and all this stuff, I don't call you wrong. I don't call you right, because everything is an opinion.
Right.
So however you want to feel, you feel that way. But when you start dragging other people along for your crazy roller coaster, then that's when it becomes an emotional leech problem. So you start sucking on other people's emotions and start sucking all the happiness out of other people because of how you feel. And it's a lot of that going on social media. It's a lot of that going on when you're face to face with people.
Right.
You know, your family. Everybody is not in the best interest for you, no matter if it's family, friends, or so-called friends, colleagues, whatever you want to call them. Everybody is not going to be for you. So once you hit that reset button, if you bring those same people with you after you hit that button, then what's the point of hitting the button?
Okay, so great segue here. Great segue here because they're...
Hey, we're on fire tonight, guys.
Here's the thing. The whole hitting the reset button, like you laid out that perfect analogy with the video game system. And you bring up a tremendous point here in, when you do hit that reset button, you cannot bring the same, you cannot fundamentally bring that same group of people to your starting point, your refresh point, whatever you want to call it, and expect to have a different result. Mm-hmm. At some point, and this is just my opinion, and this is my opinion because this is kind of how I've taken my personal approach on this. As Q said right at the start of the show, a lot of the crap that I have done over the past 6-7 months or what have you, to say it's controversial would be an understatement. I get it, but at the same time, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Q. Maybe I'm just going off, on the wrong path here. But I also feel like, number one, you've got to get honest with yourself, right?
That's true.
Quit worrying about how what you do, say, or otherwise is going to affect other people. The fact of the matter is, sometimes we have to be reminded we have our own lives. Our lives, yes, we have responsibilities. We have obligations. And I am not one of those people that, look, there are people that feel like that if you are a parent, the children are the absolute center of your world. Yes, absolutely. They should be at the focal point. But with that being said, and this is just my opinion, and I realize I'm fixing to ruffle some feathers, and if we start getting a barrage of hate tweets, well, you can send them at XCon23. That's Jim Burgett's a Twitter handle. Anyway, you got to get honest with yourself, and you need to get to a point to where you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, I need to get happy with that person looking back at me. I need to get on square one with them, because I've said many, many, many times, the person that you look at in the mirror is the one person you will never BS. You just will not. You can think you have yourself outsmarted all you want, you won't. You know how I know you won't, and you know how you know you won't, is because there's going to be that twitch in the pit of your stomach every so often, and you can't describe it. You don't know what causes it. That is what causes it. That indecision, that inability to get honest with yourself. Now, with that being said, and this plays off of not bringing the same people into your reboot world, your reset button, because you're not going to achieve the same success. Truth of the matter is, when you try to embark on any kind of journey to better your own personal situation, you personally, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, whether it's anything under the sun, when you get to that point and you know you need a change, you have to be willing to go through the dark clouds.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I call it something else on the podcast, but realizing what environment I'm in right now, you're just going to have to come to terms like, this is not going to be a smooth sailing thing, right?
No, it's not.
So it goes back to that fear of the unknown, but You don't know if there is your true happiness or your true end game or the life that you truly want to live if you do not sometimes embark on the unbeaten path. And yes, yes, it will alienate you from your friends. Yes, it will piss people off to no end. Yes, it will cause all kinds of controversy to the point to where it starts becoming topics of conversations at the lunch table, at the water cooler, in the locker room, in the bathroom, wherever the case may be. The fact of the matter is it boils back down to, are you living your life for them or are you living your life for you? Or do you want to be happy with yourself or do you want to be miserable with yourself? But by God, you have all the adulation and support of everybody else that does not walk in your shoes. Why is this a thing, Q?
People are crazy. To sum it up, man.
Oh, Lord.
People are just like you were just talking about, man. People are not honest with themselves because they don't want to take the mask off, man. They want to be...
It's a gimmick, right?
That's what it is.
They have lived so much of their life under false pretenses.
Yep.
As a gimmick, as a persona.
Yep. You want to be the most authentic version of you as possible, but that don't seem easy because it seems like it comes with a risk because people are so afraid of failure that they're like, well, if I fail in somebody else's shoes, then it's not really me.
Right. What a great point.
But if you can just be real with yourself and just be authentic, I guarantee you that the end result is a lot better once you do succeed. You know, because I want to succeed at being me. I cannot succeed at being Jason. You know, because even if I succeed, I'm still a failure because it wasn't me.
Right.
So it's better. It's a lot easier, and it will calm a lot of nerves if you just be yourself. Be yourself. Be real with yourself. Do what you got to do to become a better version of you and not a version of somebody else. Because we have like mentors and people that we look up to. Instead of taking taking their advice and growing, we try to become them. and it doesn't work that way. That's why we fall on our face. So the fear of failure will trick you to going into an unauthentic path. That fear of failure, it's okay to fail because even it's not really a fail. See, it's either you learn a lesson. Every time you fall, that's the lesson.
Yep.
That's the lesson. I don't mind falling. I don't want to keep falling in the same spot because there's that insanity again. Maybe I need to switch something up. So, you get me?
I get it, dude. I get it. I totally get it. And that's what's going, I think that this is a good spot here. We're going to run a break here in just a couple of seconds here. But I feel like that this is a good spot to do that because we've kind of laid out what you should do. You know what I mean? I guess not what you should do, but something that you should take into serious, consideration because it starts with you. Now, we're going to run a quick timeout. When we come back here to the Clouse and Q Show, we will discuss what happens when you do start to embark on these new changes after you've hit the reset button and you take step one. What does and can happen. So stick around. More of the Clouse and Q Show live on ONTV is after this timeout.
As we pause to honor those who fought and died for our freedoms, Lake Orion has a full day of events planned on Memorial Day. The day begins with the Orion Veterans Memorial 5K at 9 a.m. Run or walk the 5K or 5-mile course that begins and ends on Anderson Street near the Orion Arts Center. Registration fees go toward the maintenance and upkeep of the Orion Veterans Memorial. There is also a small ceremony taking place at East Lawn Cemetery on Orion Road beginning at 9 a.m., followed by a wreath ceremony in Children's Park at 10 a.m. to honor those who lost their lives at sea. Then at 11 a.m., the Memorial Day Parade returns to downtown Lake Orion. Participants will gather at Blanche Sims Elementary, then make their way down Flint Street toward Broadway Street, then turn north toward the Eamon Center, where the parade will come to an end. And finally, the day will conclude with a ceremony at the beautiful Orion Veterans Memorial on M24 at 1:30 p.m. Speeches, recognitions, and musical performances will pay tribute to those who fought and died for our country while serving in all branches of the military. Join your Lake Orion neighbors on Memorial Day for these special events on Monday, May 30th. One man's trash is another man's treasure. Hunt for treasures or sell a few of your own at Orion Township's annual outdoor garage sale on Saturday, June 4th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The community garage sale offers one-stop shopping. Parking and admission is free, and Shred It will be there from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to properly dispose of old documents. While that's going on outside, the Antique, Toy, and Comic Expo will be taking place inside the Orion Center. Shop for comic books, action figures, Hot Wheels, antiques, and collectibles. Again, admission and parking is free to the public. To reserve a space or for more information, call 248-391-0304 extension 3500 or visit orionparks.com.
And welcome back to the Clouse and Q Show here on ONTV. We're coming to you live from the ONTV studio in Lake Orion, Michigan. I'm Jason Clouse. He's Quadell Edwards. We've been talking about a pretty deep topic here this week, one that certainly, by and large, probably resonates with just about everybody that's tuning in here tonight. Because it's one of those things that we do encounter at some point during our lives. We want change, and sometimes we just don't know how to go about it, or we can't go about it. Now, here's the thing about the word can't, in my opinion, and my uncle told me this a long time ago when I was a kid, and it registered to the point to where all these years later, 30-something years later, like I still incorporate it in everyday conversation. Can't is you either won't or you don't know how. So which is it? Are you just not going to do it because you're worried about what may be? Or do you just not know how? Well, if you don't know how, there's people, there's organizations, there's resources out there to help you. Now, as a sidebar, I guess that could trigger another conversation about the system in play, but that's for another time. Q here makes the majority of our graphics that go out on social media, and you made one today for tonight's show, and you put a tagline or a headline really at the top of it that really hammered the essence of this entire episode here this week. Sometimes painful endings bring the best new beginnings, and I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, as soon as I read that, he sent it to me this afternoon. I looked at it. I instantly uploaded it to our accounts online, and I sent you a message. And I'm like, okay, it's uploaded. But man, oh man, you want to talk about a perfect, like a descriptor of what this episode was going to be. Yeah. That was it, man. So I just wanted, number one, you make us look awesome. Okay, when you do the graphics. So there's that. But to incorporate that kind of, tagline, for the lack of a better term, on it is like, man, okay, it helps me keep focus here. So we've spent the first part of this week's show kind of laying out, look, we've got one life to live, and yes, you're scared to change. Not a lot of people like change. Other people flourish in it, right? Other people, they cannot sit still in one spot, in one situation, in one relationship. They need to explore.
Right.
That's just in their nature.
Yeah.
Which, nothing wrong with that. If that's your thing, that's your thing. I get it. But by and large, we all want to be happy people. I feel like at the end of the day, we don't want to go through life miserable, because it's exhausting.
Very.
It gets to be very exhausting. Mm-hmm. It starts to take a physical, mental, psychological, emotional toll on you. And for what? And when you break it down, you're looking at the scenario, at the situation that's causing you grief, and you're realizing at that point, you're basically doing and living your life for other people and what they think. We talked about it at the first part of tonight's show. Mm-hmm. So now here's the follow-up. Quit. Stop. I realize it's difficult. I realize it's scary. I realize that there runs the potential for anybody that goes down any kind of new path to get to a life to where they want to be, because you don't know what's going to happen, because you don't have a time machine. Do you have a DeLorean in the parking lot that takes you back to 55?
You know what? I do not, but I wish I did.
I mean, when this thing hits 88 miles an hour, you're going to see some serious stuff.
Right.
So be that as it may, we try to throw a little humor in there every once in a while. And a shout out to our friend Brian Balf, who is a big 80s nostalgia guy.
Oh, he's in the comment section.
Is he? Okay, great.
I'm sure he is.
All right. Here's the thing. If you try to do anything that goes against the grain that somebody else has established, you're going to piss people off. You are going to hurt people's feelings. You are going to become the subject of probably less than awesome commentary. It happens. But you also have to consider the source, in my opinion. What I mean by that is, it boils back down to, you've heard me say it a million times across the platforms, it's a fundamental of life. Who in the hell are you living your life for? Now, I realize if you're a parent, your first answer is probably going to be, well, I'm living my life for my kids, which is cool. And I agree with that to some degree. But what happens when your kids grow up and they move out of the house, they have their own families, their own careers, they don't have maybe 10 minutes a day for you? Where are you at now? What are you doing with your time? What are you doing with your life? Mm-hmm. This is why it's important that you need to figure out who and what you are. That's why you need to figure out what kind of life you want to have and with the people you want to share it with. Now, Q, you know as well as I do, we can have the best laid plans and have all these ideas, all these visions, all these dreams, all these passions and stuff like this, but life's going to throw us curveballs, right?
Always.
So when life throws you a curveball, what is the one thing, if you had to bottom line everything, what is the one thing that you need to keep in your mind to keep you focused as to why you hit the reset button to begin with?
That vision. Really. If you stay focused, and I think about, I'm always using analogies. And
I love it.
I guess I'm the analogy guy. But if you take a cameraman, what does the cameraman do? Somebody that's taking a portrait or a picture or something like that, they focus on the object. But once that object becomes blurred, they become off focus. And they might start seeing all other kind of stuff that's wrong with it. What we have to do is we have to stay focused on that vision. Therefore, when those curveballs come, you know how to curve around that curveball. And just like I said in the beginning, you don't go through things, you grow through things. Therefore, those curveballs are coming. You're growing. Now you're becoming even more, you're becoming better. You're becoming a better person mentally. You're becoming a better person emotionally, whatever the case may be, as you go towards that vision. And so it's always good to keep that. I write my visions down. I write everything that I want to do. I write that stuff down. I said it a million times. I keep a lot of notes. We talked about that. Mm-hmm. So I keep the vision in front of me. Even if I'm not mentally thinking about it, I keep it in front of me. Every time I open up my phone, it's right there. Every time. You keep it and you stay focused on the end game. Then when those curveballs come, go right around it and just go through whatever you got to go through and get to where you need to go. Don't be afraid of change, because sometimes even when you put it in a GPS, the GPS will tell you rerouting. Even the GPS say, well, you know what, we found a better route. There's construction going on this road. If you want to take this road, then we'll get you to your destination. The GPS is telling you that. How much relevant is that to our lives? Sometimes we got to reroute. And sometimes we got to take different roads. But if it leads us to that destination, that road is necessary. That road might be a little longer, but at least you're not hitting that construction. At least you're not hitting that dead end or block streets. You know, you're getting to that destination. It's important. You know, that rerouting. It's okay. It's okay to recalculate, reroute, reboot. There's a lot of re's that we're talking about. Redo.
Dude. I mean, yes, you are now officially the analogy guy. And I feel like we need to incorporate that into your name bar. Anytime your name pops up on the screen. I know a guy that can make that happen. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Because that GPS may see something ahead that we can't see.
Exactly.
Miles down the road.
Yep.
It doesn't want you to get stuck in a traffic jam. It doesn't want to halt your momentum. It wants to take you down these shortcuts, these paths, these redirects.
Yeah.
Like you said, yeah, the road may be a little bit longer. You may go down a one track dirt road thing that, you know, it's called like Bob's Road or something. But it's going to get you to where you want to be.
That's right.
But along the way, even with every bump that you occur, even with every pothole you may have to, because we got a lot of them here, right?
Oh my goodness.
You're going to see things on that particular path that you wouldn't necessarily have seen if you had stayed on the expressway.
Right.
You are going to see things that are legitimately going to make your soul happy. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to go on the sidebar. We got time here.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to take you on a sidebar. And I'm saying this as a demonstration as to what levels of happiness can and often do look like. We just forget about it. We forget about it because of crap like this.
Distractions.
We are so consumed. I say we as a whole, because I'll be honest with you. I could leave this thing downstairs in the bedroom and not have a second thought about it, as long as the people that I care about, that are in my forefront, that I am responsible, if I know that they are safe, that they are accounted for, that everything is good, and I'm with the people that I need to be with, I don't need this damn thing. I don't need this tethered to my hip or my pocket.
Right.
This does not define me. Okay? And anybody that allows their life, if you cannot go more than 5 minutes without checking your phone for something, whether it be a Facebook notification, an email, text message, or whatever, if you can't take 5 minutes without checking your phone, I guarantee you there is an underlying problem in some form of your relationship.
I agree.
Because you are putting more time and emphasis into a stupid electronic, thing, gimmick, than you are somebody that's in your life that probably is dying for your attention.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's what it is. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And you can make every excuse under the sun. Like, I check it for work and blah, blah, blah. Hey, look, I get that during designated work hours.
Right.
But when this thing starts to become associated with your identity, oh, well, that's so-and-so. That's the phone guy.
Yeah, becomes your lifeline.
Right. Why? Why have we allowed this to happen? Because it's convenient. Because it's easy. The greatest things in life don't come easy. They just don't. The most fulfilling things that you will ever see in your life is going to take time and effort. And I realize in this day and age, we don't have a lot of time, so we need to maximize our minutes. We need to slow things down a little bit as much as we possibly can. I'm getting to my example. I realize I'm going around it. I'm getting to it. It's this.
Rerouting.
I'm rerouting, Q. When's the last time you put your phone down and just went for a drive somewhere? With no particular destination or place. When's the last time that you took a chunk of time out of your day, away from the grind, as it were, away from the job, away from your responsibilities, your obligations, and you spent some time with somebody that means something to you, if not the one, your significant other, your soulmate, if you are actually fortunate enough, actually is the key word here, fortunate enough to share your life with your soulmate. When's the last time you took that individual, grabbed a couple of drinks, water bottles? let's I don't want to cause any kind of controversy. And hopped in the truck and just driven down back roads. When's the last time that happened? Do you even know any back roads? I mean, if you get lost, that's where these things come into play. The GPS will reroute you. But seriously, you take that time and you drive down back roads, and you will experience life at its most innocent form. Particularly in this area. Particularly, and I'll give you an example. Last weekend, spent several hours going down the back roads of Metamora, Michigan. Wow. Now, I grew up in Hadley, which is the next town over. So I'm familiar with the back roads of Metamora. Haven't been down them in probably 25 years. At least some of the ones that we went down this past weekend. Some of them I had never even seen before. And I was driving, but I was paying attention. I was looking. You see houses that were built in the 1930s that look nothing like these brand new things that they got going on. There's charm. That house has a story. That farm has a story. That old man that's walking his dog down the street, you damn well believe he's got a story. And they don't rely on the technological advances. Their happiness is driven by the simplicities of life, the basic fundamentals of life. I saw that on full display because when I was driving, when you're going down back roads, Q, some of these roads have not been touched by a member of the road commission in probably 15 years. Uh-huh. They're bumpy, they're rocky, they're rough. And that's the awesome part about it, because you're forced to slow down. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're going to rip your whole suspension out, and then you're looking at a bigger problem. But you're forced to slow down. You're forced to look at your environment. Now, we went down these roads because this is what made my significant other happy. And I heard her laugh in ways that I had never heard her laugh. And you know what she saw when she laughed like that? A frolicking baby goat. Now, I say that, you laugh. But it did not get lost on me that that's the happiest that she had been in a long time.
That's awesome, man.
And it hammers home my philosophy that at some point or another, you have to throw can't out of the equation.
I agree.
You have to acknowledge the fact that yes, you are going to go down bumpy roads.
Yep.
You are going to encounter less than awesome situations. But I can tell you this, without a shadow of a doubt, a single shadow of a doubt, and you can look right square dead in my eyes when I say this, that it's moments like that that hammers home what true happiness feels like. And if you are able to experience that with somebody that means something to you, your significant other, your children, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. But when you experience that, it puts life back in perspective. Yeah, things may be challenging. Yeah, you may not be perceived as you once were to those who took exception to maybe the way you went about things or your decision as a whole. I look at it as that they're taking exception to you being the best version of yourself. I take it as an exception of you being the happiest version of yourself, in which case I don't need people like that in my life, and nor do you. So take that time, slow the time down. Even when you feel like you have not a minute to spare. You're a father of multiple children. You're married. You work full time. You have all these things. You have all these things going on. You're embarking your own dreams. You're studying. You're trying to forge your own identity in a new realm.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But by God, you still take time to spend with your wife.
Oh, absolutely.
You have time to spend with your children.
Yes.
Tell me that is what life is all about in your particular situation.
Man. I got to summarize this one.
Okay.
But that the whole time thing is very, very, I mean, people that say they don't have time for this, time for that, the rich guy and the poor guy both have 24 hours in a day. So there's no excuses. It's how you prioritize your time. One thing about happiness, and you know, there's a lot of people that's going to disagree with what I'm going to say about happiness. Happiness is a choice. You can wake up and be like, you know, I'm going to be happy today. But there's things that's going to influence you to go either happy, or some things that might influence you to not be happy. So if you take the positive influences to be happy, to trigger that emotional happiness out of you, that's what you need to go for. And for me, I know I relate with the whole driving thing, because me and my wife, we'll drive all around Lake Orion. We'll drive around Oxford and look at different houses and decorations and everything, slowly down neighborhoods, you know, and this is a topic of a different conversation. Love languages. My love language is quality time. That's one of the most important things to me when it comes to, you know, my relationship with my wife is quality time. Relationship with my kids, quality time. I love doing things with them. It's one thing doing stuff for them,
right?
But doing things with them, that means putting down the phone, you know, putting down all these electrical devices that causes distractions, because you can get on TikTok and be distracted for hours. And the crazy thing is the videos are like 5 seconds.
Right.
and that shows that the attention span of people is very short these days. So we need to put all that stuff aside and focus on our loved ones. My love language is quality time. Hers is physical touch. So, you know, if I'm just holding her and we're walking through the park holding hands, that's important to both of us in different ways, you know?
You're spending time with her. She's holding your hand,
Yep.
so she's getting that.
We're both getting our love languages answered right there together. And that's the way it should be. And if you can't experience that in a relationship, then is that really a relationship?
No. No. The answer unequivocally is no. You can't. You may try to put on the facade that's the case. You
force it.
Which is never going to work.
Can't do
because you can put on all the acts in front of the friends and all this, but eventually, you know, unless your friends are living with you 24/7,
right?
You know, at some point you go back to quote unquote reality. Mm-hmm. And like, yeah, you had a great time with your friends that you just spent the last few hours partying with, or went to dinner with, or whatever the case may be. But, you know, eventually it comes back down to that real life.
Yeah.
And if you're not cool with the way things are in real life, then
don't be afraid of change.
Nothing is going to mean anything at that point. You're just kind of going through the motions. You are phoning it in, for the lack of a better term. Like the lights are on, but nobody's home.
Triggering the wrong emotions.
Yeah. And, look, anytime anybody goes on anything new and it's not what somebody else perceived, you're going to ruffle feathers,
Oh yeah.
And there's right ways to handle things. There's wrong ways to handle things. I totally get it. Now, looking back over the course of my lifetime, I can pinpoint a number of different things that I probably didn't handle right, but at the time, that's what felt like the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. I've accepted that.
Yeah. All you can do is move on.
But I've also learned that as I've gotten older, like every piece of my journey has led me to where I am here and now. Now, at 46 years old and having just retired after a near 30-year career in professional wrestling, you would think that the element of change would be a very scary thing. Absolutely, it truly is, because wrestling was part of my identity as a person. Mm-hmm. Who was I going to be if I wasn't a professional wrestler or I wasn't a promoter? Well, I realized, yes, that was important, but that's only part of who I was. Now I'm doing things like this. Yeah. Now, had it not been for the MWO, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here on Friday night, May the 20th, hanging out with one of my dear friends and being directed by one of the most awesome people that I have ever worked with at any level, Joe Johnson. Shout out to Joe. Absolutely. None of this would be possible without him, and I make damn good and sure that he is acknowledged and recognized regularly for this. But I also realize that everything that has happened over the course of my life has led me to this point. Mm-hmm. It's led me to ONTV Studio with Q. It's led me to every aspect of my life that has, by and large, been rejuvenated. And not one time, Q, and this is where a lot of people get hung up on, they start to question themselves. Right. They start to question if they're doing the right thing. Doing the right thing for who? For you or for them? Now, I realize when kids are involved, that's a fine line, right? But it comes back down to this. If you're not the best version of you, you're not going to be what's best for them.
Oh, that's big.
Right?
Yeah, that's so true.
Am I wrong here?
No, you're doing it, man.
So
that's good.
You got to get to a point to where you are right with yourself. You've got to get to a point to where you are at the best version of yourself, because it becomes a trickle-down effect.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you're not good with you, you're not going to be a good co-host. You're not going to be a good spouse. You're not going to be a good boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. Parent, employee, manager, doesn't matter what you're doing.
You're not going to be a good you.
You're not going to fulfill that potential that you truly have in you, mm-hmm. if you don't get to your best version of yourself. Yes, you will piss people off. You will. Because, again, there's a number of scenarios, but it boils down to this. Those people who don't want to see you at your best self, those who have taken such exception to maybe the path that you had gone down, that they no longer want anything to do with you, that's fine. Because here's the thing. The spotlight of your happiness, every single time, will outshine the darkness of their misery and their negativity and all of their other BS that they bring to the proverbial table. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. You bring the light in, the darkness has to leave. You turn these lights on, the darkness leaves. It's simple. So simple.
The ones that truly want to see you happy are the ones who will be there.
Yep, they'll be there.
Regardless. Whether they agree with you, whether they would have done the exact same thing is irrelevant.
Right.
What they want, because you mean so much to them, they want you to be happy, and they're going to support you if you are truly happy. And if you are truly happy, you're truly going to be the best version of yourself for yourself, and for those who are most important, right?
That's so true. I think about little wrestling plug. I think about The Undertaker. You're talking about starting fresh. This man wrestled for what 30 plus years, retired, and if you know the character of The Undertaker, this man went to his Hall of Fame induction speech and gave a sermon.
Yeah.
You're talking about change and how he talks about his kids. He's doing it for his kids. He was doing it for himself because he didn't want to retire, less than. And he finally was able to retire on his terms. And now he's there for his kids and his wife. I feel like that in the sports entertainment world is a great example of change. This man gave a sermon at the Hall of Fame speech.
What Pop? I'll be straight up. It was the greatest Hall of Fame speech I've ever seen WWE put on.
I agree.
And it was unlike anything we had ever seen before. Certainly nothing like I had expected. But as we put a bow on this episode, Q, is there anything else you would like to throw out there as we get ready to head out of here for a couple of weeks?
Well, I just hope that all the viewers really caught hold of this topic, and don't be afraid of change. Don't be afraid to see the vision and put it in front of you always. Don't be afraid to go after it, because it's so easy to get distracted and just to lay back and just say, I'm gonna do it tomorrow, next week, next year, or whatever. Go for it, man. Go for the vision. I promise you, you'll thank yourself later. You will. You will. Don't stay hindered. Don't stay, upset and disappointed at yourself for not doing something or not getting out of a relationship or not getting away from negative people and negative situations. Just go for it, because just like you were saying, you got one life to live. You wasting that one day. You never know. That could have been your last opportunity. That could be your last day. We don't know when we're checking out. Look at how things are going around us, man. There's so much stuff going on. People, mass shootings, and live your dreams, man. Live your dreams and just go after it.
Couldn't have said it better, man. Could not have said it better. And we certainly appreciate everybody tuning in. And if you have any kind of questions, comments, feedback, shout outs, show topic ideas, anything of the like, we do have our own page over on Facebook. Just look for the Clouse and Q Show on Facebook, and you can send us an email to the clousetotheheart.net website. You will find all of our information, and we will be back here live on ONTV on Friday night, June the 10th, beginning at 7 p.m. I'm sorry, 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
6 p.m. I don't know why I said 7. Anyway. 6 p.m., June the 10th, live here on ONTV. Q and I will be back. And until then, be awesome to yourselves, to each other. Go out and make a positive impact in somebody's day here today. With that, we'll see you next month right here on the Clouse and Q Show, exclusively on Orion Neighborhood Television.
Stay motivated.